All right, people are joining in. Wonderful. I'm going to give folks just another minute to get kind of joined into the call, and then I will get started here. Excellent. I should be sharing. Okay, I should be sharing just that. Wonderful. Oop, go back. Cool. Ooh, and the hand's already raised. Look at that. Everyone's joining in. Wonderful. Let me go ahead and give a quick spiel first, and then I saw Radley raise his hand first, so we'll let him go first. But I'll give the quick kind of intro, and then we'll just dive right in for those of you that know. I recognize all the names here, so we should be good to go. But welcome. I'm Eric Welmerink. I believe I've met all of you before, but if you're listening to this on recording or haven't met me before, I'm currently the product manager of Decisions, but I've been here about 9 years. So I've gotten to see the product do kind of grow from a relatively young company. And I actually started as a junior developer all the way up to the 250 plus, I think 280 employees or whatever we have today. So in that time, I've gotten to do quite a bit. I've gotten to write code, I've gotten to work on support, I've done professional services projects, I did our IT app security compliance, I did all of our training for about 5 years. I helped lead the QA and documentation team for a while, so done quite a bit. With that, my current focus, heavy focus, is the product roadmap and kind of what we're doing as a company in the future. So helping design new features, get feedback and understanding from what our customers and partners really want to see the tool grow and elevate to. Looking at current technologies and where we expect to expand to. So that's kind of my current level of expertise and what we'll be doing. If you've never seen this, the Lunch and Learn is just an hour, Monday through Thursday, where someone from Decisions, typically someone with a really good skill set or a higher level of knowledge, will sit on a call and answer any questions you have. Or at the very least, if we can't answer your questions, we're more than happy to find the right answers for you and follow up after the call. So the way this works, you can go ahead and raise your hand, as some people are already doing in the participants panel. You can type in the webinar chat and ask your question there, or you can post in the question and answer panel on Zoom as well, and all three of those get your attention. If you raise your hand, we'll let you come off mute and we can have a little dialogue here. Some other quick notes, if you haven't seen this or this is new to you, end of life support for Decisions. This is just as we grow and release newer versions. We start to remove support and give end of life to our older versions. So if you haven't seen this, version 6 and earlier has gotten all major versions kind of removed from it, so we will no longer be supporting those. For version 7, as of March 1st of this year, we will be going ahead and doing all just general support fixes or hot fixes. So what you'll see there is we'll still do critical services, we'll still do service patches, we'll do security fixes and those sorts of things. But all major releases will be in version 8. And then same thing, once we get a target for version 9 and release that, we'll go ahead and do the same thing there. We'll start to do the end of life support for version 8 and eventually deprecate version 7, etc. So just some notes for you guys there. And then lastly, if you want to dive into that roadmap, which is the presentation I give, that is something I give every other Thursday. Now, the last one we did was today. So the next one that we'll have is in 2 weeks on April 6th. And it's really just an open webinar. Anyone can join, partners, customers, prospects, whatever. And it's a time for us to sit, dive into the roadmap. We can talk in depth about what we're planning on doing. You can ask some of those questions here if you'd like as well. But for the most part, we'll be looking at kind of the future of Decisions, where we're headed, what we're going to do, and then some updates on some of the major new features that we're planning on releasing this year. So enough banter aside, I saw a couple hands already raised. It looks like Radley got his hand up first, so I'm going to let him ask, and we'll dive in. So Radley, I think you're off mute, you can go ahead and ask your question, sir.
Hey, Eric. Yeah, first question is, where would I go to register for this roadmap, this bi-weekly meeting?
Good question. We revamped the site, so let me make sure I'm not giving you bad information. I believe it's just decisions.com/events. And then if you scroll down about halfway, there's a whole section called upcoming webinars. Yeah, and then you can see it's scheduled out, I think, the rest of the year. So you can go sign up for those.
Very good. Okay, so for the reason I'm joining today, I have a data structure that has two account data members, where a user can have their email addresses as part of those. I want to use that data structure as a data source for a report. And when a user runs that report, I only want them to see items where their account is in either of those two fields of the data structure.
Huh. Wow, what a use case. Okay, let's walk through this together. I'm going to create a folder so I understand it. So let's start at the beginning. Center project. Oh, I meant to be this at the root. Sorry, I should have hit the create a root button. Okay, so you start beginning. Nope, wrong folder. Hold on. You have a data structure.
Yep, I'm using a flow execution extension.
Okay, perfect. Let's grab that.
And I have I have one member that is a single account.
Okay, and that's
So
referencing the decisions account object?
Exactly, yep.
Okay.
And then I have another one that's a list of accounts.
Okay, also referencing our...
Correct.
Okay, cool. And then we'll have something else. Is that roughly what we're looking at?
Yep, that's
All
great.
right, let me save. I'm going to need to get something in the database here. So let's create one. We'll go to, sorry, Zoom windows are all in my way. Just get out of the way. Okay, there we go. Sorry. I guess I need to create a process folder, don't I?
So maybe for some additional context, what this is it's a report that someone is making, and people can be assigned either to the report owner, the single account, or they can be part of the team, the list of accounts. And those can be anybody in the organization. So I want to make this report available to everybody in the org, but some of it could be sensitive data. So you only see the items that either you're the owner of or a team member on.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. So let's do this. So single account can, I don't have very many accounts in my install. Let's do this. Nope, not pin. Let's say duplicate. I'm just going to create another account very quickly. Okay. Bad password. Gosh, I cannot type today. All right, there we go. Just give me an account. All right, cool. Back to the flow. The single account is there. We'll list both of the, or Eric. Okay, that's fine. Hello there. All right, I just need to create one of these in decisions. Description. And we'll call this. All right, I just need data in the database. All I'm doing is just get data in the database. Cool. All right, we come back here, save that. I have my folder. Okay, so now back to the we're going to create a report, right? That reports on our data structure. And we can't report on the accounts because they're a complex type, right? But I should be able to do like entity name and what was the one like something else, right? Yeah, cool. Okay. So now you wanna say the use case again. I know you said it twice now, but I want to make sure I understand.
Sure. So now that we have a report owner and we have team members for this item, I want to make this report available to anybody in the org, and anybody can run it, but they only get items back on the report for which they are either the owner of or one of the team members.
Got it. So we're looking at the single account or list of accounts and seeing if they exist in one of those two, right?
Right. And if they do, they get all the ones that they exist in. And if they don't exist in any, they just get a blank report.
Cool. So I think, and we're going to test this out, I think that we need to try a rule filter. A rule filter is just a statement rule that we can write that will take in potentially inputs from here. Although, this is actually where we might run into trouble. I don't know if we can input. Aha. Okay. Nope, not pick existing. I'm not thinking. Create new. Okay. Let's see one quick thing here. So the reason I was thinking this is because a rule filter, right, can look at who's running it. So I can know that the initiating user email is whatever, and then see if they exist in a list of things. So I'd say they exist in a list of what, and we were going to hand in, let's just hand in the define data list of accounts, but this might get a little tricky. Right. Save. Okay, return true. So return true means it should be filtered. So that should be okay. And then we say is in list of accounts dot email, right? All email address. Save and save. Okay, let me think. Update inputs here. Can I just map? It does map from report to. Bummer. So my idea won't work. That's unfortunate. The normally this would work because I could go ahead and hand it in from a report field, but since we can't report on that, what do? We need to serialize. I don't know. This is a tough one. I mean, we could get around this, and this would be a really, really poor substitution. Because I could map in like a string list of names into a column, into a calculated column, and then pass that into the rule filter. It's not ideal, but it would work. Does it run flow inline field? Run. I think it's this. Nope, it's not this. Hold on, I'm gonna try one quick workaround, and then what we'll do is I'll take this away and see if I can figure out a better solution. I think it's just called flow inline field, not run flow inline field. Wait, where is it? Do we already remove it? There it is. Flow inline field. Okay. So what flow inline field does is it allows me to run a flow and report the results back as a string column. So the output of this is expecting a string, and that would be the output for the column of the data. And in the input, we're already going to know about the data source. So we're going to know about that account object. Think. Okay. Report row, right. No, this isn't going to work either. Yeah, so I could do a workaround. It's a really terrible workaround. What I'd have to do is I'd have to grab the ID from this entity, pass it into this flow inline field, return the string result, and pass it back to the rule filter. I don't like that solution. It's a lot of moving parts to get this behavior. So let me think really, really quick. Is there a better way to do this? Not off the top of my head. All right, I'm gonna have to take away and think about it.
Okay.
Bummer. Man, I'm stumped. 0 for 1 on the first question. The only other thing I'd think about is we made some improvements to this in newer versions. Is if your entity, so if your flow execution extension wasn't an account list, it was a string list. I think we've added some default reporting to this. This will actually let me test this a little bit. Yeah, list of emails, which is, yeah, I know, that's fine. If we do this, we go to our flow. No, sorry, that's not here. Okay, go back to my report. check here. Thought there was a way now. What did I call it? List of emails. Yeah. So see this. Oh, I guess I didn't create one. I didn't run that flow. Hold on. Time add this data. Scroll. There we go. Okay. Okay. Debug. Okay, there we go. Back here, refresh. So you see here now this is a string list. Now I could pass that into my rule filter, but it only works with the string list. If you're using a complex type, that won't work, sadly. But I could do it like this, and then instead of my rule being in list, we would change this to the other way around. We would say, does my list contain? Yeah. Anyway, some work to do here to fix this. Does that make sense though?
Right. It does. It does.
So I will take away to see if I can figure out a better way to do this with a complex type. If you use a simple type like a string, you could get it to work.
Cool. All right, I appreciate that, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Any other questions when you're off mute?
Nope, I'm good for now. Thank you.
Cool. I'm gonna make this work now because I've already spent so much time on it. Flow data, issuing email. Done. 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 Save. Done. 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 There we go. See, and it refreshed because I wasn't on that list for email.com. Cool. That would work, but kind of limits you. It's all take away.
Thanks. I appreciate your time, Eric.
You bet, bud. Oh, sorry. There's some comments that is, you could use a flow inside the rule to fetch accounts by entity. Yeah, that's what I was working on. And then you can JSON serialize the complex type to store in a string. Yeah, all those seem like they're all workarounds. There's ways to get the string into the report so you could still use my rule filter. I'm gonna go think about it a little bit more and ask some folks who are smarter. I do know we're also on the roadmap. We're looking at better, like it's hard for me to describe, better tooling around the report engine to do subtypes. So like think here, if you had a drop down or dialog and you clicked it and then you saw like another report under there of the sub items inside of a parent item, we're going to do some better that type of reporting in the future, which means that you could do things like when you have a complex type and a complex type, create a really quick report that would subgroup them together, in which case then you could send it to the report field. That's on the roadmap for a little bit in the future, so I'll see if we can get a solution now. All right, let's go ahead and skip. I think Wade had his hand up real early on when we joined the call. So let's go ahead and let Wade ask your question, sir. If you want to come off mute, let's go ahead and see what you got.
Yep. Hello. I just had I guess a general question. So just for this use case, we're going to post a survey. Anybody could go on the survey, and we want to create a record that we can go back and report on. What's the best way to do that? Is it to make those surveys as an entity? I also saw there's a database structure. Like how would we go best storing those?
Why don't you tell me a little bit briefly about the survey? What type of survey is it? What type of data are you storing? What do you want to report on?
I actually don't know. This new survey, I don't know. It's someone else is giving me all the fields.
Okay.
But let's say it's like, let's say it's just my assumption is just a basic generic, how are we doing? Like, how is your service? How would you rate your pickup? That sort of stuff.
Got it. Cool. Well, let's look at the different data types, because this is where we start the conversation. So the first level, since you want to store and report on it and do stuff, you're going to need at least a database structure. And all a database structure is any fields you define. We're going to store it in our database with a custom ID, and you can have workflow steps to create them or update them or delete them. And you get reporting sources to build your reports off of. The only thing that's interesting is if you move up to a little bit more complex structure, like an entity, the biggest difference between entity and database structures, an entity is going to live in your folder tree on this left-hand side. So it will actually show up and exist somewhere here. Two benefits to that. One is that there's going to be some metadata that now decisions will understand about that when you create one of these things. So we're going to track fields like created by, created on, deleted by, deleted on, modified by. We know the parent folder it lives in. So you get one benefit of additional metadata. Now there's more data we're tracking. So for a simple survey, that might be too much. But in addition to that, now that it lives in the folders, you also can restrict it with folder permissions. So if you don't want to write report, filters or, give access to certain reports, write multiple reports for groups of people, you can actually store your actual survey results in other folders and then restrict permissions to those folders so that people who can get to them will see the results. And then, then there's some more complex, things that we can move up to. But for a simple survey, I would probably lean on the lighter side, which is just a database structure. And say, I had a training survey, which is I give a training and you're going to give me feedback. So I have a class name, we have a class date, whatever that may be. We have I guess name would be the subject. We have a rating, which can be a number you give 1 through 5. We could say instructor rating, which can also be a 1 through 5, whatever. I'll keep it to a couple questions. But you can also do this a little bit more generically. This is me, for each survey I'm creating, having the called out, metric I'm trying to track. You also could just have like a pair, like a question answer pair, like a data pair type situation. But if I did it like this, what I think the benefit of this is it's a lot lighter. So the only thing we're storing in the database is those fields I've just created. And then I can control all the reporting and permissions to it through the designers. So that's where I would start looking at probably database structure. If you wanted it to live over here in the portal, you would consider an entity and you'll get some additional benefit. But that's kind of where I'd start.
Because the people that will be seeing this, I mean, some of them may want it private. I mean, people that are accessing the portal, maybe the survey is about them, so you maybe want to keep them private. Maybe not this survey, but maybe other surveys. I started off with doing an entity, so I guess that's not a bad thing. Yes.
No. I think an entity would totally work. And an entity, you're going to get things like who created it. So if you never want the creator to see their own surveys, you could just write a report filter that says, don't show if created by me, right? Okay. But if I wanted that functionality on what I just chose, I would have to then track that information. So if I wanted to be able to say the creator can't see their survey, I now have to come back to my structure, which is here, and track, submitter. And that's an account or an email or whatever it may be that I need to track here. Then I can write a filter on submitter.
And then in the when I was in the flow trying to create an entity, the only one I seen was just a batch insert. Is that the one I should use?
There should be a couple other ones. Let's go back to the flow. The first place you want to look is under, at the very bottom of your toolbox under user defined types. Go to your structure. So yours will be under entities. Mine's going to be under database structures. And then if I grab training survey, I can create a single training survey. I can delete one if I have the ID. These will be some other steps as well.
It's a lot easier than what I was doing.
Yeah, much easier than batch insert and picking the type. Because if I just drag this over, I have a form, someone fills out their name and hits a button. We'll keep this simple. I know I'm breaking dependencies. And then my go button goes to create the survey in the database. If I say create a survey, we're going to build it out from data I have. I should be able to quickly map in like the name from the form to the class name or whatever it may be. And then that will create it in the database and store it. And now I'm good to go.
Okay, that'll simplify my steps. Just doing that, going down to the entity, create entity thing, or the specific entity instead of going to create data and doing a batch thing.
Yeah, that's totally much simpler. There's other entity framework steps you could use. I think there's one called like update entities, but it's a little bit more complex because you have to go pick the type and then specify like criteria. I think to start, your best bet is just finding these steps down here.
Okay. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Cool. And then, yeah, the last thing is that's going to create like a report source for you, named after your structure. So then you're just back to, creating reports and filters and whatever you need.
Awesome.
Any questions? Any other questions around that process?
I'm good.
Cool. Wonderful. All right. Diving in next is anonymous. Is there a way to reset password on releases instance without support request? Okay. Is there a way to reset a password? Oh, on your releases instance. Okay. I'm guessing, and you can clarify, whoever asked the question, you can clarify if I'm wrong. If you go to our releases site, releases.decisions.com, this is to download a new decisions version. Recently, in the past few months, we've added a login page here. And this login page is so you can access our releases site. The email and password you provide here is the same exact email and password to our support portal, support.decisions.com. So if you go to support.decisions.com, whatever you use to log in here to view tickets, create tickets, see feature requests, those sorts of things, will be the exact same one that we have tied over here to releases. So if you reset it here, is there a way to reset it here? No, but if you have this password, it's the same password as our releases site. And then you can request, by emailing support, you can request a reset of that. So unfortunately, no, there's no easy way to reset passwords on the releases site, but if you know your support portal password, you can use that. Cool. All right, let's see other questions. I think I got all the questions. Let me check any hands raised. No hands raised. Okay, wonderful. Oh, there we go. Jeff's chiming in. I'll go ahead and read this out loud. Regarding importing resources to a clustered environment, should importing to the cluster on one server update those resources on other instances? We're having trouble with that again. Looking through some support emails, I have a couple that said it should happen once we set up shared storage correctly, but also I have one with a response that some resources may require restore other servers cluster sync. Yeah, so great question, Jeff. So this is for anyone else on the call. You have a clustered environment, so you have two app servers pointing to the same database running together, right? When you import or update something on those, how does that sync across the two nodes? You have two nodes pointing to one database. What happens? We've had some trouble with this, and to be very candid and honest, it's something that we've struggled with and are trying to make better as a product. Now, currently, if you're using containers and Redis specifically, most things will sync just fine. We have found that there are some data structures that aren't syncing well, like case entities, that if you do make changes to will require a restart of both nodes. And that's that's something we're going to improve about the product to make better about our clustering ability. But other things like importing a flow. You import a flow, as long as you're shared, and you say it in the text here, your shared storage, whether that's Redis for containers or the way you set up your cache mechanisms on a node, on a cluster. So where you go to your server settings and actually set those set the cluster settings. If that's all set up properly, yes, those should work just fine. So in short, Jeff, what I'll do, because you're bringing this up at an opportune time, I'm going to go dive into your tickets and take a look. Because we are actively right now, the development is working on making sure that works really well and is really clean. Simply because it has been a pain point in the past. So yes, ideally in a perfect world, you shouldn't require a restart of the whole cluster to get things to sync up and work. But with Redis being somewhat new to us and us going through it, then we're gonna make sure that gets fixed right away.
Oh, great. Thanks a lot.
Oh, there, you're up mute. Yeah, you bet, man. Sorry, I know it's a pain point because we've had it fixed, we haven't had it fixed, we've had it fixed, and then we added containers. So let me go make sure we really carefully look at your tickets.
Okay. Yeah, that's great because our ops guy just came to me and said, hey, we just did an import and For some reason, this one data structure didn't come over. So,
Of course not. Yeah, I think I actually saw your tickets. Yeah, I'll go sync up with the dev team. There's a squad working on cluster improvements right now, so I'll bring it to their attention.
okay, thanks.
Thanks, bud. You bet. What else we got? We can look at product roadmap stuff. Let's see, a couple folks still on the call. I think I've shared most of the roadmap stuff with everyone here. I'm updating the roadmap for a couple 2023 key objectives. One thing I want to show off, I'll do this real quick, and then if no one has any other questions, we can end the call a little bit early. One thing I wanted to show off, it's just some new work. I think most of you have seen this. No, I must not have put it on here. Bummer. For the next two major features we're releasing, just so everyone's aware, let me get this slide, is Project View and Deployment Server. If you haven't heard of this, Project View is a regrouping of all of our folder trees to be into constrained projects, which gives you better reporting, visibility, dashboarding, gives you better deployment capabilities. It gives you better organization, gives you more consistent builds because you're not having dependency webs. Anyway, this is major initiative number one. And number two is deployment server. So tied to that, once you take that work and move it from one server to another, that deployment should be really rock solid, really good visualization, great reporting, dashboarding, those sorts of things. We've gone through a whole cycle of UI UX designs for the deployment server side of it, and it's been stinking great. So in the next couple of lunch and learns, or actually the next product roadmap on April 6th, I'm going to have some updated screenshots specifically around deployment server that I'd love to share. That's going to be really, really good, targeted towards, really heavily targeted towards user experience of deploying projects. So just a little teaser. I guess that's my little teaser to say, if you're at all interested in the roadmap, join me on April 6th. I'll have some new things to share there. But yeah, cool. Let's see, let me jump back. No questions, no hands raised. All right, so I got a follow up for Radley to see if I can figure out that reporting thing. I think answer the other questions. So yeah, let's I guess we can go ahead and wrap up. So thank you all for your time. Again, join us next week, Monday through Thursday, noon to 1 p.m. Eastern. And I think I'll be on in a couple weeks again too, so you can hear me ramble on. But hope you all enjoy. Join my roadmaps, and if without any further questions, we'll go ahead and jump off. So thank you, everyone. Hope you all have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Eric.